What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to what are you doing? Welcome to the 2023 PGA Championship DraftKings DFS preview. We're talking DraftKings, Oak Hill, PGA Championship. We're going to get right into this bad boy. I'm DB. I got Pat Perry. If you're new, welcome. Thanks for coming. Listen,
Welcome
you may
to
not
our
get the nerdiest content here, okay?
mm-mm.
But we're going to have a good time. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have a good time. I've got a nice, beautiful hazy IPA. I'm really on the hazy kick right now. Cheers.
Cheers. I got a beer myself. This is it's a beer from Georgia. I've never had it before. Georgia Beer Company.
Oh, look at that.
Field
Clever name.
Party Blonde Ale.
Clever name.
Kind of a summer spring type beer.
I love blondes.
It's good.
Let's get right into this, Pat. It is PGA Championship week at Oak Hill, and we're not going to talk about the golf course a whole lot. We'll talk about it in our player breakdowns, and if we want to talk about why they'll suit Oak Hill, sure. But we're not going to get into a big course breakdown because it's precious time, And there's so many course breakdowns out there that you can look up. You can even watch the first few minutes of our betting show on YouTube or listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. We talk about it a little bit there. Only what you need to know and not what you don't. Okay, forget all that other stuff. Who cares how many trees they took out? They took out trees. Okay, who cares who did the renovations between Donald Ross and Andrew Green? I don't know. Who cares? I don't know. Just tell me how it's going to play right now so I can make my bets and my DFS guys. Okay. But maybe we should show this. Well, I don't want to show the goods for one preview and not for the other preview. So I will say we got this text from a caddy just last night who had walked the golf course, been out at Oak Hill yesterday. He says, reminds me U.S. Open at Winged Foot, which, by the way, Justin Thomas said the exact same thing today in his press conference. The rough is crazy long. Isn't crazy long, but it's healthy and thick. I think long guys are going to have an advantage. They always do, especially when the rough is like this. And he caddies for a shorter player. He says, if we miss the fairway, we can't get it on most of the greens. Even on the par fives, if you miss the fairway, you'll do well to get it on the green in regulation. The greenside bunkers are all low and deep. They're probably the best miss in most cases, though. If you find yourself on the short side in the rough, it could also be okay as long as you're short of the hole. These guys are good at those little flop shots. There are quite a few fairway runoffs on some holes, though, where the ball can get rejected way away from the green, so you got to be careful with those. If you told me we could hit it to 40 feet on every hole, never closer, but never missing the green, I'd take it. If we hit 54 greens, it'd be unreal. So there you go. There's some feedback on the golf course from a caddy that walked the course yesterday. There's a bunch of stuff being dumped in the Nut Hut today. In fact, in the research tab in the Nut Hut, I dropped some goodies today, including an exclusive. I don't know of any other place on the internet, any other tool site, any other data site that can give you what I dropped in the Nut Hut today, which is strokes gained, not proximity, strokes gained on approach from the rough, 150 yards and beyond since 2021 has been dropped in the research thread because I think we're gonna see a bunch of guys hitting out of the rough this week. So
I don't know, DB.
What?
You started the show saying we weren't going to get all nerdy, and here you are getting all nerdy. So we actually do have some nerdy stuff up in the Nut Hut, right?
Yeah, I'm just letting people know there's some nerdy stuff in the Nut Hut. Also,
yeah,
I do have to, I didn't have Jason Day. You didn't have Jason Day last week.
Yeah. Do we need to go over this again?
Well, no, it's a segue because I'm going to pat myself on the back for the freaking props week that I had last week, which was, I don't know why I just hit that accidentally. Well, why is that on there?
Just the tip?
Yeah. Dude, I had a 6X card, a 5X card, and 3 2X cards shared in the Nut Hut last week that all hit. I think I had 2 losing cards all week. It was a killer week, so we crushed that. We'll talk more on that in just a minute because I have some thoughts on round 1. All right, 9K and above, Pat. We got to talk about some studs. What do we do? Because we can't play them all.
Yeah.
Got to make some decisions. So in every range, we're going to talk about some guys we like, some guys we don't like, some guys we think could be chalky. Chalky meaning quite popular. We got to have some leverage in our lineups. We can definitely play some chalk, and we're going to talk about that. But there's also some chalk you might want to avoid. Okay. At the top, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler. Speaking of chalk, those guys are going to be chalky, right? It's really hard to play both of them in a lineup with the pricing at 11K on both of them, over 11K on both. But you could have both in your player pool. You could just land on one. What are you going to do with these two? Are you going to have one of them, both of them, none of them? What's up?
No, I think I'm going to have one of them, and here's the direction I'm going to go. I talked about this a little bit last night, DB, and I know you didn't like this, but I think I'm going to lean Scotty Scheffler over John Rahm in my DFS lineups, and I'm just gonna brush Rahm to the side, and I'm going to go with Scotty. I'm feeling Scotty this week, man. I really am.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, listen, we talked about it on the betting show. Whatever, dude. Like, you can't go wrong with either one of them. You really
Yeah.
can't. So just pick the one you like. Take your preference. Whatever. I prefer John Rahm, but I'm very interested in both of them. I think both of them are going to be probably equally popular. So I don't know that there's really going to be much of an advantage taking one over the other. If there was, I would definitely take the lower owned player because they're just that close in terms of how good they're playing right now and what level they're on. That gets us to, and I'm not gonna do the whole the whole AI thing that we had on the betting show that was hilarious. If you didn't watch the betting show, we had a lot of um, visitations from our AI bot in the Discord, but I do want to bring up this guy because it's just so funny to look at. This is AI Rory, pensive, butthurt beta Rory laying on a therapist couch in his Nike polo that our Discord AI bot generated for us last night. So what are you going to
Untucked polo. He's very
polo?
unkept. Unkempt. Is it unkempt or unkept, by the way?
I think it's unkempt.
Unkempt.
Like Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
Plus the T.
But if you said like unkept, like
If you say it fast enough, nobody
would even know.
Did you anticipate a Sean Kemp reference in your DFS breakdown?
I did not.
You know who Sean Kemp is?
Yeah, he played for the Seattle Supersonics.
Okay. I didn't think you were going to pull that one. I really didn't think you pulled that.
He did. He had a lot of kids too.
Oh, dude, did he have a lot of kids? He's fucking Jason Day. By the way, Jason Day's, just doing it.
I mean, they're still having babies this far out.
Yeah, I feel like Jason Day's close to the senior tour. He's still pumping them out.
Just like, hey, I mean, when do you stop? I don't know. There are people that like babies. They just like, I have a lot of babies.
I hear that. Yeah, I have heard that.
Anyway, I do. I'm not playing Rory, and I'm taking a stand finally.
What?
Yeah, I'm taking a stand.
You're not playing Rory?
I don't even if here's what I'm going to do.
He's going to be low owned. Jack is right. Jack is right. He's going to be low owned.
All right, here's what I'm going to do though.
You know you're not passing up on low owned.
No. Here's what I'm going to do because I am an honest person. If for some reason I put Rory in a lineup, I will screenshot it and I'll do whatever anybody wants me to do. I'll let everybody know that I did it. I broke down and I did it. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm being strong. I am not playing Rory in a single lineup.
There is zero chance that happens. You are going to have Rory in a lineup, I can guarantee you. There's just no way it doesn't happen. That's like it's like, I bet I can get you betting by the end of the day, Dumb and Dumber line. And you're like, you're on. Yeah. Like, there's zero chance you don't have Rory. Plus, what are you going to do when Rory is literally like 15%?
I don't think he's going to be 15% though. Do you?
I think it's possible. I don't think he cracks 20.
Maybe we should put parameters on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I knew. If
I'm looking at like a 10% Rory,
you're not going to get a 10% Rory. At Rochester, his home club, his COVID club, his wife's place, all that. You're not going to get 10% Rory at that spot. Okay. Well, where do we think? I mean, other than Rahm and Scheffler, where do you anticipate the chalk is going to be? I do have to say, one of my New Year's resolutions was to admit that I was wrong more often on the show. I was wrong about Hideki ownership last week.
Yeah,
you were right about Hideki ownership last week.
I told you. Yeah, but I appreciate that. All right, here's a few guys that I think are going to be chalky, other than what we just talked about.
Okay,
I think Tony Finau is going to be chalky.
100%.
I think he's going to be chalky. All right. I also think I think Koepka's going to be chalky. I think the world does not want to. The golfing world. Did I say golfing?
Yeah.
The golf world, the golf betting world does not want to almost miss out like they did at the Masters. we spent all this time with Live and whatever else, and they, whether or not they can play in majors and what's going to happen and are they going to be in good form and are they going to care? All these things. And what happened? Brooks Koepka is right there, almost about to run away with the golf tournament, it seemed like, for the first couple days. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be scared to, not have any Brooks because of what he did. And so I feel like you're going to see some chalk there.
I totally understand that logic. I'm starting to, as I looked at it more and more today, and I started actually making some lineups and just seeing kind of how things felt. I wonder though if people suffer from that short-term memory, and a little bit of recency bias.
Yeah.
A little bit of recency bias of, but Xander and Cantlay are right there. The two best friends, right? The two buddies. I mean, has Xander and Cantlay taken over Jordan and Justin for everyone on the PGA Tour? Like they're just two butt buddies. I think people are going to go Rahm Scheffler. They're going to be pumped to get one of Xander or Cantlay in there. I think that's definitely going to leave Morikawa kind of squeezed out and possibly, or very likely, very low owned. And I think it could affect Brooks too. I don't know where fully I'm netting out on that yet, but I'm sure by Wednesday night in the Nut Hut live chat with you and I, we will have figured it out by then, or we will have known what kind of chatter's going on about Brooks. Because I could see either one of those scenarios happening. Did I say happening? I think I said happening.
I don't know, but let's just get it together, okay? I'm laughing though, and I know we don't always like to bring in personal stuff, but my wife is sending me baseball updates, TB, okay? And I know you don't like baseball, but they're the funniest thing ever because also he has a guy on his team whose name is Titus.
Titus?
Yeah, and she just sent a text that said Tits did a pickle. It was amazing. Totally threw off the other team.
Oh, sick.
Okay.
There you go, Tits.
All right, so
hey,
I think she meant Titus.
Oh, one on the board for Tits right there. But
anyway, that gave me a chuckle. And I have it on Do Not Disturb, just so you know. I'm not trying to get distracted, but that threw me off when I saw Tits come up on the screen there.
Little Titus did a pickle.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Okay. So I agree with you 100% on Finau. I think the other chalk in here is the two that I just mentioned, Xander and Cantlay. So that leaves some leverage on a handful of folks.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I mentioned Morikawa. I want to talk about him in a second. Possibly Brooks, but maybe not. Jordan, who we talked about on the betting show, who might have a severe wrist injury. I did notice he's not on the press conference list, which I found interesting. So we're gonna have to do some. We're gonna have to do some kind of reconnaissance on Jordan for what's going on. So Jordan is going to be definitely one of the lower owned. Everybody's going to be afraid. JT, I think could approach some chalk. I think both the Cams are going to be low owned. I think people are on to Cam, have soured a bit on Cam Young. I know I've not soured on him. Like I still love the guy. I think his upside is tremendous, but he is not in the same form as he was coming into majors last year when he was doing very, very well. He's not hitting his irons the same way. It's just not quite the same. He does check the distance box and the hit it far and high box, which is all going to be good. But I just don't see it quite clicking yet for Cam Young. But is he tempting at sub 10%? If he gets there, 100% he is. I'm starting to think Victor Hovland may be low owned because I just don't know how many people are going to be able to work in Rahm Scheffler, Xander or Cantlay, Finau or Thomas, and then also get down to Hovland. And obviously Hovland's, glaring weakness is around the green. And that might scare some people off this week. So I think there's some possible leverage opportunities there. I think I'm never this guy, Pat, but today as I was looking through some things, are you paying attention?
Yeah,
absolutely. You look like you're not paying. Don't say absolutely because you normally just don't pay attention.
No, I mean I am. 100% paying attention to you.
I'm usually never about an expensive Colin Morikawa, but I'm a little tempted. I've been a little tempted today. He's been calling out to me a little bit today.
I don't mind Morikawa ever. But just what is he exactly doing to, like, other than the beginning of the year? Like, what is he really showing us to give you that confidence to play him and really kind of, I feel like, mess up your lineups a little bit as far as like the price is concerned and trying to fit like all the guys that I want to get in here. Cowell to me, like he could really screw it up. He's in a bad spot right there at 10-3. I think it's a bad price. I don't even think it should be there.
I actually agree. I think I think he's overpriced. But as we know, sometimes you get leverage by overpaying for a guy. It's not always the smartest, or it's not always like the most optimal thing to do. And I'm not saying I want to have him at 40% of my lineups, but if he comes in super low, to me, he's just tempting. Do you remember last year or whatever it was, 2 years ago at the damn Open when no one had Colin Morikawa and he was talking about how his freaking irons weren't right in the turf or whatever, and then he freaking won? Like he just has the iron ability to, if he has one of those peak Morikawa weeks, it's just super tempting. Low owned. I mean, the 13th at the Players and the 10th at the Masters is kind of like, that's appealing to me. That's what I'm looking at to go, okay, yeah, sure. Wells Fargo wasn't great. Heritage wasn't great. API wasn't great. Waste Management wasn't great. Other than that, he's been, I mean, and I know I'm saying half his events, but he should have won the Century. I mean, you had him on the card. You saw what happened. He freaking was unbelievable chipping. Third at Bomber Paradise, Torrey Pines. I don't know. Something is calling out to me. Maybe I'll get talked off the ledge on Morikawa by the time the.
Well, I think let's look at it this way. Wouldn't you say that Colin and Victor Hovland have a lot of similarities as far as their games are concerned?
And I
right?
can get Victor Hovland for a lot cheaper. I get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I know
that's the direction I would want to go. If I'm going to have to take a bad scrambler, to me, I want to go Victor.
Well, maybe if they're both kind of in that same ownership range, I could totally get down with doing that. I don't know. I was just looking at the name up there. I just feel like he's lost. And I mean, just having the lineups go live on Thursday morning and having Morikawa at, let's just call it 20%, and he's only owned at like 10 or 11, would just feel like that would be exciting to me. It's about leverage. I want to talk who are the guys, before I ask you this, I want you to think about it, but another guy up here that you're willing to pass on. You're willing to pass on regardless of ownership. Before I get to that, our friends at DraftKings have the Reignmakers contest up and running. They've been doing it all year. The PGA Reignmaker stuff has been fantastic. You got to get in there. Start your PGA Tour collection. Play for free for $700 or $350,000 in prizes. Unbelievable. Claim your free starter pack. Get in on the action with DraftKings Reignmakers and compete for prizes for the rest of the season. You can spend $5 and get a free booster pack if you start your Reignmakers career, okay, with our link in the description of this video and podcast. So DK Reignmakers, a lot of fun. Pat's been dipping his toes in it. We're going to do some DK Reignmakers here, some content, kind of some intro content very shortly. So you're going to want to get involved on that. So be on the lookout for that podcast and YouTube show to drop soon. But DK, we appreciate them supporting the podcast. We've been talking about DK on here we've been doing this damn show 8 years. And so for DraftKings to say, hey, boys, we want to give you some Reignmakers attention and tell your audience to get involved because it's a good time. You've enjoyed it, right, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a different way to do it and put your lineups together, and kind of brings back the old days of getting some baseball cards. You go to the store, you get those baseball cards, and all of a sudden you get a Mark McGwire in there.
Oh God!
What the hell?
Dude,
I got a Mark McGuire, and all of a sudden, I may have a chance.
one of the most underappreciated parts of the Nut Hut is at the end of the live chats when all the golf talk has been done and everybody's burned out because it's late Wednesday night. Nobody wants to talk about players and ownership and betting anymore. And we just start naming random 90s baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody just tries to come up with the most obscure 90s. It's so much fun. I love doing it. It sounds ridiculous, but it's a blast. If you're in the chat, start naming random 90s baseball players. I actually thought about that when we talked about Sean Kemp earlier. If we had to name random 90s basketball players, I would not last very long. I have a handful, but baseball was my jam in the 90s.
Do you know that there was actually a pitcher in the major leagues named Pat Perry?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, somebody in the chat, Google it. I think he pitched. I'm gonna guess it was a team that had red colors, and I want to say it was either the Cardinals or the Reds that he played for. He was a pitcher. He was a pitcher, though, I think.
Grady Anderson, what a drop! I love that. All right, let's move on before I will get involved in.
I do have an answer to your question though.
Very quickly. All right, who is your other fade in this range?
Well, I think there's two that you're kind of leading into a little bit, okay? Because you're saying who could you possibly fade, regardless of ownership? A guy that I don't know. I think there's two polarizing players in here. One is Xander. The other one is Justin Thomas. Personally, I have a hard time feeling like I'm going to be able to go into a bunch of lineups when I'm doing my lineup construction and fade a less chalky Justin Thomas. Like if JT has lower ownership, I'm going to want to play him.
Agree.
Now, Xander's another thing. I feel like I can fade Xander and be okay. Like, I know Xander is a great player. Xander is a guy that checks a lot of boxes. I get it.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if I have a player that I really want that I think can win a GPP down the stretch. And not just win this golf tournament, but win the GPP. You know, I think Justin Thomas is the one over Xander. So I guess the answer to the question is, I may have gotten it backwards. Xander, I think, is the answer, right? Is that where
I mean, for me, I agree. The hard part with Xander is like running a model. He crushes it. Like he's number 2 in this model that I did that I'm working off of currently, and I'll adjust it as the week goes on. But it is hard. Like the only reason it feels decent to fade him is just like the idea that you don't think he's going to win. You don't think he can close the door, which at 9,900, does he have to? No, he doesn't. He could totally be in the more optimal lineups on DraftKings. He could be in the top 5 highest point scorers on DraftKings, and that's what you want. You need DraftKings points, but I tend to agree. So, all right, that's the 9K range. We're going to address some of these players a little bit later on because I want to talk about kind of building lineups here at the end. I want to talk about like building lineups around certain correlated skill sets. And I think you're going to have some of that with some of these players up here in the 9K range. But let's move on to the 8K range, Pat. Now, this could be a treasure trove in the dead zone, right? Because with all the Rahm and Scheffler ownership, with all the Xander Cantlay love and the Finau love, it does make it difficult. Like we see a lot of times in these elevated events, you tend to have some really nice value in the 8K range, and nobody in here is likely to get super chalky. There's probably going to be some guys in here more popular than others. I would argue. My guess here, my ownership guess here in this range is I think Hatton is going to be one of the more popular players. I was thinking Day, but then with him being the highest priced player in here, I don't know that necessarily happens. It feels like Fitzy could get some love, and I think Tommy Ladd. Those are the 3 names for me that I think could be the more popular plays. Do you agree, disagree? What do you think?
Well, I have 3 written down. I have Day, I have Fleetwood, I have Hatton written down.
Yeah, I said Hatton.
You said okay.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, those are the three for
Day,
me.
Fleetwood, and okay, so we agree except on Day and possibly Fitz. Yeah. I just think the price on Day relative to the other guys below him, even though he's coming off the win, I know, but I mean, like a win at the Byron Nelson is not. And Day's been playing great. Don't get me wrong, but a win at the Byron Nelson does not do a lot, for a PGA Championship. But he has been playing really well. I just feel like what is. So let's talk about the guy I'm arguing could be popular. Like what is the big difference between Jason Day and Matthew Fitzpatrick? I can save $500 using Fitzpatrick.
I mean, this year I would say consistency for
Yeah,
one.
Fitzy's irons have not been great for most of the year, but they've been solid for the last couple. I mean, Wells Fargo, I guess he broke even. What did he do at Augusta? Let's see. Fitzpatrick gained. He gained strokes on approach at Augusta. He gained almost a stroke in round 1, over 2 strokes in round 2, over a stroke in round 3, and basically neutral round 4. He gained almost a stroke a round with approach at Augusta. So it looks like Fitzy kind of figured it out around Augusta, kept it rolling into Heritage, broke even at Wells Fargo.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I didn't know you're gonna want to compare these two, so I'm looking at them both and trying to figure out what. I mean, there are a lot of similarities as far as their games are concerned. You definitely have a big difference on strokes gained approach between the two.
Yeah.
So that's certainly going to be one.
It's not like Day's setting the world on fire with approach though either. Like he's bad from 200 plus. He's bad from 175 to 200. He's not fantastic from 150 to 175.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got like not all that much of a difference on driving accuracy, which I think is something I want to look at. Just typically in a major, that's what you want to see. I mean, bogey avoidance, same thing. Like, I mean, Jason Day's number 1 in the field.
Yeah.
Fitzy's 5th.
Yeah. And last, 50 or so? What do we,
I think that's the last 24.
Yeah.
So I get it. I mean, you're making a case for Fitzy. To me, I think, yeah, if you want to have a guy that's lower owned over Jason Day, I get it. If we're strictly going by the stats, I mean, I think there's, with Day, it's just, to me, it's just the consistency of his finishes, of his play. I mean, other than what he did at Wells Fargo, where I did think he was kind of struggling when he was on the range there, but then obviously that didn't matter last week. So that's golf.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, you know what we did? We forgot to do our cash picks in the last. So in cash in the 8K range, it's Tommy Fleetwood. It's not even close. Like Tommy Ladd at 8,000 is just too good a value if you're doing 50-50s or double ups. He's been too consistent, too good for too cheap in cash. I think he's a lock. And then for me in the 9K range, it was going to be Finau. I mean, I like Finau a lot. So, I mean, it makes sense. He's in the 9K cash play for me. Who's your cash play here? In both ranges.
Well, I had Fleetwood written down actually in the 8K range, and I have Finau also in the 9K range. But I will say, I don't want to let this podcast go by for the PGA Championship without mentioning Sungjae Im in the 9K range, because I'm a huge fan of Sungjae. I don't think I'll play him in cash. Maybe I will. I don't know.
I was gonna get to him at the end segment here, but yeah,
well,
I hear you.
We can't get to him because we already got out of the 9K range.
No, I'm going to bring us back. I'm going to bring us back with the correlated kind of narrative lineup building things.
Okay, all right.
So in this 8K range, it does appear that so there's some potential leverage spots. I think the most low-owned guys in this range are going to be the 3 right there at Sam Burns, Sahith, and Tom Kim. I think those guys are going to be the ones that are the most overlooked. I'm not touching Sam Burns or Tom Kim. I'm just not. It's not been good. Like Sam Burns' iron play is terrible. I love him. I mean, I hit him, 50 to 1 at the match play. I think it was the last bet I hit. But it's just too bad. Like the irons are too bad. I'm not interested. And Tom Kim's irons haven't been great either. So I mean, he struggled at the freaking Byron Nelson. He had a good Sunday, but I just don't think I could do it. Sahith, I could kind of get talked into just with the short game, but I think those three are going to be the leverage spots. I don't know that I love any of them. And I think you'll still get an element of ownership leverage just by playing guys in the 8K, especially if you have more than one. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of lineups with 2 or 3 guys in the 8K. But DJ's right there coming off his live event victory after a kind of lackluster live season. I mean, here are his live finishes out of 48 players: 37th, 13th, 7th, 10th, 25th win. So, okay. 7th, a 10th, and a 1st. Those are his best finishes. Who's he beating up on is kind of hard to tell, but DJ is interesting. Obviously, he's got a great record in the Northeast. He's got a great record on hard golf courses.
He does. From
a distance standpoint, it suits him well. So we'll see what he comes in at. I'm more interested in Max Homa in where he comes in. As you know, I'm a Max Homa truther. Even when I want to be off of Max Homa, I eventually find my way back to Max Homa. A good compass always points north, Pat.
Oh yeah, okay.
He checks so many boxes except for the major championship box, right? He's done it on tougher venues. He's won on tougher venues, not being majors. He's won in cold northeastern conditions, I think, last year in Delaware, right? At the Wells Fargo. I love everything about Homa, and the value, the price tag seems fantastic. I'm very interested to see where he comes in.
Yeah.
He may be one that catches some ownership steam as the week goes on.
I think I'm just I'll let you have Homa this week.
Really?
I'll let you have him.
You said that at the you were all on Homa for the Masters, and I was not on Monday. And then by the time Wednesday came around, I was on him too. And then it just didn't end up working out for you.
It didn't work out at all. Well, you know who I'm on this week that I feel like is a lot of people aren't going to be on him, and I like him, and that's Shane Lowry. I like Shane Lowry a lot this week. I feel like, if you're looking at, let's just look into Shane Lowry a little bit at stats.
Okay.
Great driver of the golf ball. Okay. Very accurate. Plenty of distance. He's middle of the pack. Great approach player right now. Ball striking's good. Looking at his last 24 rounds, top 30 in the field in both approach and ball striking. He's now the putting is a little sus, as the kids say right now. But everything else, you look at two things: proximity, 175 to 200 yards, over 200 yards. They're going to have a decent amount of long irons. He's up there in those two. Avoids bogeys. I think Shane Lowry at 8,300 is going to be overlooked when you look at guys down there like Fleetwood. You look above him at Fitzy. You look at Hatton. And I feel like I'm going to get some ownership leverage with Lowry. And we know he's just one of those guys that in a like Honda Classic is a good example. Very hard golf course. You never see a ton of birdies. You just kind of plod your way around the course, make good decisions, and you hang in and you hang in and you're right there at the end. That to me is what Shane Lowry is. He's not going to excite you at all. But on a course like this that I think is going to be difficult, I think probably 8 under, somewhere around in there, is going to win.
I saw a Vegas book posted 10.5 under today.
Okay. All right. So maybe I'm a little under that. But still, I think Shane's a type guy that can win on this golf tournament. And just all of a sudden, he's right there. And probably going to be like 8 or 9% owned, I bet.
Yeah. I don't think he cracks double digits.
Yeah.
There's just too many options, right? We're going to get to that in 7K range. All right. There's another guy in this range that I want to talk about that I think is going to continue being somewhat overlooked. And I don't know. He's got winning upside. Before I do that, I do want to remind everybody, check out our friends at Front 9 Coffee. Now the K-Cups are in stock. So go to front9coffee.com. That's front9coffee.com. Get yourself some good, just golf-loving, coffee-loving, small business booming people coffee, okay? Get it, all right? These people are good folks right here based out of Augusta, Georgia in our hometown. Love coffee, love golf, love the Tour Junkies listeners. They've been supporting us for now over a year, and we really appreciate them. And it would be great if you folks drink coffee to give them a try. They will ship anywhere in the US. You can use promo code TJ10 to get 10% off your entire order. And you can continue to use that promo code. These people are, again, small business, just started up a little over a year ago. They're trying to get it off the ground. They want some customers, and it's delicious coffee. So use the promo code. If you like it, use it again. Buy it as a gift. Whatever your dad drinks coffee, Father's Day is coming. Get him some. If he loves golf and coffee, get him some. I have my own flavor over there, DB's Large Bucket of Nuts. It's a hazelnut blend. Pat has his, which is the Bump and Run, which is an espresso Milano blend. It's a beautiful. I'm actually drinking out of your coffee bag right now because I'm out of mine. So I've started years over last.
Yeah.
But it's
How,
delicious.
you're enjoying it?
Yeah, it's good. It's
You
different.
have kind of been in a weird mood lately, though.
Oh, maybe that's why. But the K cups are out. You can get it. Obviously you can get grind. You can get it whole bean, whatever. So check it out. Front9coffee.com, promo code TJ10. The player I want to talk about here in the 8K range is Hideki. Because, dude, you talk about a guy whose iron play has been kind of like what we're used to seeing out of Hideki. Obviously, long-term, he's always been a tremendous short game player, really good scrambler. And the putter's been pretty solid of late as well. I think he's lost a little distance, and it may be swing changes. It may be due to some of the, maybe due to some of the neck and back issues. Lost a little distance, but he's not short, right? I just think Hideki is going to be it's going to be another major where Hideki gets overlooked. And I don't know that I want to do that. Like, I kind of want to be there on Hideki. His floor feels really high. His ceiling still feels like a win to me. I mean, he finished 4th at the U.S. Open last year. Had a decent Masters, finishing 16th this year. I like Hideki.
All right, I don't mind Hideki. I think if there's going to be a PGA Championship where Hideki does contend, because if you look at the last 5 years, he's not really contending in these. And I say that because I know they're on different courses, but they do tend to set up PGA Championships for the most part to be a little bit different than like a US Open, a little more scoreable.
More scoreable.
Scoreable. Good Lord.
More scoreable.
And then that was like I'd eaten a bunch of ice. You know when you eat a lot of ice and your mouth just goes numb?
I don't eat a lot of ice. Are you stressed, or do you have
I'm an ice eater, man. I'm an ice eater.
Well, it's got to be the right ice. It's got to be the right
I eat ice like crazy.
Like Sonic ice or whatever it is. I think I would do that.
I heard that if you eat a lot of ice, or you like low in iron or something.
Yeah,
is there like some
yeah. That's science.
Are you sure? Though I don't know I don't know why I would be low in iron.
I don't know, but I mean, I know betas are usually low in iron. They're low.
No, shut up. But Hideki really hasn't performed all that great in PGA Championships. But this one I think is a little bit different. It's the way the course is set up, or looks to be set up. I think it could be different. And I'm a big Hideki fan. So
yeah. All right. Let's get to the 7K. Let's talk about the 7K, which is just loaded. I mean, I literally did it. I did a lineup today with all 7K players. And I looked at it and I was like, that's a damn good lineup. I think you're going to have a lot of ownership is going to be very spread out. I don't know that anyone except, I don't know that anyone is going to be super high owned. I don't know that anyone in the 7,900 range cracks 15%. I think if someone does, it's going to be one of these guys. It's going to be either Keegan, Fowler, maybe Fowler over Keegan because people like if it's a really public contest, like Fowler's more likable. So maybe I'm going to narrow it down. It's going to be Fowler, it's going to be Wyndham Clark, or it's going to be Gary Woodland. That's what I think. I think those are going to be the chalkiest. But I don't know that even with those guys, it's going to be all that bad. Do you?
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think the two that are probably going to have the most chalk are Clark and Fowler.
But I mean, dude, when you're looking at the 7K range, to me, Fowler, Clark, and Gary are just like as you're scrolling, like when the prices just came out and you're scrolling, those three are thumb stoppable. Like I just look at them and go, whoa, they're that cheap. You know what I mean?
Do you think Gary Woodland is thumb stoppable?
At 7,100, yes. Don't you? 7,100, considering how he's playing. And I'm not a Gary Woodland guy.
Yeah.
You know this. You know I'm not. He irritates the piss out of me.
I'm a little concerned at how much you've been liking Gary Woodland lately.
Dude. Look at him on look at like tougher courses, right? Like Wells Fargo, which I mean, I know Wyndham Clark made it look easy, but historically it's kind of a tougher course. 14th. Masters, 14th. Genesis, 9th. Like those are last year's US Open, 10th. Like when you don't have to make all the putts. Well, let's keep going last year. Arnold Palmer, Honda, 5th in both of those. When you don't have to make all the putts, I like Gary a heck of a lot more. But his ball striking lately has been incredible. Incredible. Peak iron. He's like, his last 10 to 5 tournaments are double what his PGA Tour career has been from a strokes gained approach average standpoint. Like he is grooving his irons right now.
Okay.
You disagree?
No, I know. I mean, I can't disagree. It's right there in front of me. I mean, I can see what the stats say and everything, but I mean,
10% Gary, I'm still taking it. And I say the same about Clark and Fowler. They all just feel like they have tremendously high floors compared to other guys in this range. They're all playing extremely well, and I think they all have winning. I mean, I actually think they all have winning upside. It would be a long shot. Obviously, that's why I like Clark and Fowler 80-1. Gary's over 100-1 for crying out loud. But I do think it could happen. The PGA is one of those tournaments where the random first time major or whatever winner can get it done. That's Fowler and Clark.
okay.
I just this is where I want to chow down on some chalk. This is maybe, but I don't know how chalky those guys are going to be. I don't think they're going to be that chalky because there's so much talent here. Who else do we like in here?
See, I'm actually opposite. Well, I'm not opposite because I do like Clark and I do like Fowler, but I feel like there's some guys in here that we can really differentiate our lineups with. And Adam Scott is at 7,800. He's been playing very well this year, very solid.
Oh, did you see the text we just got?
No, I didn't see it. Great.
How timely. Oh, God. How timely is that text? Why don't you read it for the people, Pat?
All right. So this person says, Rick looked good today, boys. Was out for 9 with him. Playing correctly. I'm assuming that means he knows how to play this golf course.
Dude. I'm gonna stay on the Fowler bandwagon.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm off of him. I'm saying there's a lot of people that you could listen to that are going to be talking about the same guys. They're going to be talking about Wyndham Clark. Yeah. They're going to be talking about Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
They're going to be talking about whoever else. And here's some ones that I want to talk about that I think are going to be a little bit different. One's Adam Scott. One's Taylor Gooch. Taylor Gooch has
Adam Scott and Taylor Gooch. People are definitely going to talk. I've already seen people talk about those guys on Twitter.
Oh, I thought you didn't listen to any shows or
I said on Twitter.
Twitter before we
Dude, I'm on Twitter every freaking day, unfortunately. All day, every day.
Maybe you need to be like me and not on it all the time. All right.
Yeah, you're working your regular job.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I think Taylor
he had like 11 tweets today. Like, I have to be on Twitter.
All right. Either way, whatever. Fine. Everybody's talking about Taylor Gooch, and I'll drop down a little bit to somebody else.
I like Taylor Gooch, by the way. I think I'm going to bounce on Adam Scott, but I like Taylor Gooch.
Okay. Couple more then. Here's one that I don't think anybody's on, and I can't even really give you a whole lot of explanation for it, but I don't care. Cam Davis, 7,400.
Whoa.
Little
Okay.
bit of a pivot off of Wyndham, but if you
Yeah.
look at it, driving distance,
Yeah.
he's got
X that box.
he's got the sand saves I like because I think these bunkers are going to be tough. Strokes gained off the tee, top 30 in proximity, 200 plus. I like Cam Davis. Here's another one, Emiliano Grillo. I'm just going to keep on with him because the guy continues to play well. He's always going to check ball striking boxes. He is. I mean, the guy is just a great ball striker. He struggles around the green. He struggles putting. I get it. But the way he's been playing lately is very hard for me to pass up. You look at his last 3 events, top 10 at the Heritage, T5 in Mexico, top 25 at the Wells Fargo, very difficult golf course. So I like Grillo right there at 7,300. I can't ever say his name,
Pat.
2 times the same way, by the way. It's always going to be either Grillo or Grillo, regardless, like for the end of time. I will always say either one.
Pat, think about an old song. Okay. What a time we had in the Discord today, too, by the way, just jamming out to some 90s country in our jukebox room where everybody just kind of got to pick a song at it. I mean, I was in there for like 4 hours today while I was doing research. Think about an old song, Pat, that you just love to go back to. Like what's an old song? Like if you're just like, God, I gotta hear something to get me in my feels, to hit me in the nostalgia button. Right there in the nostalgia region. What song is it, Pat? What's your go-to song that just is always good to come back to?
I mean, that's kind of put me on the spot. You have one in mind already. I don't know if I have one like immediately in mind I like a lot of songs.
There's a couple that just get me in my feels. I remember riding around with my dad listening to them. Vince Gill is kind of my guy for that. Like if I want to get in my feels, I listen to some Vince Gill, and it could be, it could be a number of Vince Gill jams. But I got a Vince Gill in here that I haven't gone to in a long time. It's probably been at least a year, but I think I'm gonna go there. I think I'm gonna go to $7,600 Patrick Reed
Oh,
this week.
wow.
P. Reed is quietly having a consistent season on LIV. Last 5 events: 18th, 4th, 3rd, 14th, and 12th. No one talked at all about like a more than halfway decent Masters finish out of Patrick Reed, where he finished 4th. I just think P. Reed, all the major championship experience you could ask for, decent PGA Championship record, decent U.S. Open record. I mean, if you're looking at the U.S. Open is the PGA is most comparable as of late to a U.S. Open. It's not the same, but it's the most comparable. It's not comparable to Augusta. It's definitely not comparable to the Open. So the PGA and the U.S. Open get a lot of chatter in terms of being the 2 majors that are the most alike. He's only missed 1 cut in 9 attempts at a U.S. Open. And there's been plenty of U.S. Opens that are just long as shit. And everybody's been like, oh, how can we possibly see Patrick Reed contending? He's only missed 2 PGA cuts in his career out of 9. I think P. Reed is as motivated as ever. He wants to piss people off. I think I'm going back to him. That may be one of my pivots off of Wyndham Clark. You mentioned Cam Davis or somebody?
Yeah, I mentioned Cam because he's right there at a little cheaper at 7,400.
Yeah.
But look, he made a good case for Patrick Reed. All right. Now, did I think you were going to sing a song about Patrick Reed like in the voice of Vince Gill? Yeah.
Dude, nobody could do Vince Gill.
I mean,
no one.
You've heard me sing songs.
Baby, I still believe in you.
Yeah.
P. Reed, baby.
Okay. At least you tried.
Nobody can do Vince Gill, dude. I mean, nobody. God dang. I mean, the guy's amazing. Another one that I like in here that we haven't mentioned yet is Justin Rose, dude.
No.
Huh?
Ah,
You don't like Justin Rose?
not really. No.
What?
We can't like everybody.
No, dude, I knew
Can't.
you would like. Yeah, in the 7K range, I feel like you can't. There are so many good values in the 7K. I'm like full of. That's why I'm saying nobody's gonna be damn chalky in the 7K range because everyone is good. Everyone is like feels like a great value to me. I love the 7K range. I literally made a lineup today with only 7K players. I haven't even mentioned Si Woo. We haven't even gotten to Si Woo yet, which I don't know. I mean,
You can't talk about Siwoo every single week.
you talked about him last week.
Yeah, and he almost won.
I know, thanks to me because I got back on him on Wednesday night in the
Oh, so you get all credit
Nutmeg
for
chat.
Siwoo.
Yeah, if it's Si Woo, yes, we all know it involves me. Okay,
All right.
let's move on to the 6K draft. Before we do, I got to show the people there's an overlay situation brewing in the Albatross. It is back on Underdog. Listen, if you missed out on the Albatross, which is the majors best ball draft situation, you're looking at it now if you're watching on YouTube. If you missed out on it, it's back. And now you can just do a draft for the next 3 majors. It's beautiful. Look at this. $10 an entry, okay? 150 max entries. Right now, it's only 35.8% full. There will be some overlay here. And you can select either a 30-second per pick or a 1 hour per pick. I recommend the 30-second. I've done one of these drafts live on our YouTube channel before. It took 13 minutes to draft the entire team. So get in there, okay? And then once you draft your team, you're done. That's it. It's over. Only 11% rake, which is better than most sites. $50,000 to first place, and they're going to pay out all the way down to 4,680th place out of a max 28,000 entries, which they are not looking to get there. So this covers you if you do the draft for the PGA, the US Open, and the Open Championship. The Albatross is back on Underdog. Don't forget to check that out. Speaking of Si Woo, listen, I got to mention it. Look, we have a partner special with Underdog. A Si Woo play is going to drop at 3 p.m. on May 17th on Underdog at a half a stroke in his round 1. So you're obviously going to select higher, okay? So then when he hits his tee shot, guess what? You just hit that leg of whatever play you put together on Underdog, if you can do the pick'em situation. So all you have to do to get the Si Woo play to show up at 3 p.m. on the 17th is you have to have signed up for Underdog using our code. The code is in the description of the video or the podcast. You have to use, or the link. I'm sorry, the link is in the description, and then the code is Junkies. Junkies is the code, and the link is in the description. If you have used that code and link in the past, or you do from now until May 17th at noon, then on May 17th at 3 p.m., it will show up for you, and you get a free leg. So Underdog out there giving the people what they want, and also you still get the 100% deposit match if you're a new sign-up. 100% deposit match up to $100. Deposit match up to $100 if you use our link and the code Junkies. So get in there, get involved in the Albatross, take advantage of the overlay, draft a good team for the next 3 majors. Fantastic. And yeah, get in there on that Si Woo play. All right, let's get to the 6K range, shall we? Just going to do our draft. You want to do our draft?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do the draft, and then I want to come back with one other kind of exercise here with a couple lineup construction situations. All right, 6K draft. I will let you start, Pat. You go ahead.
Okay, you're gonna let me start. All right. Oh man, I will say I am. I had a trouble when I was looking at this early on, but I am gonna start with. No, I don't want to steal them from you.
No, you can take him. I might surprise you here in the 6K range.
You know, a guy that I think I like on difficult golf courses is Sepp Straka. I'm gonna go Sepp Straka.
I don't like Straka. I tried.
Sepp.
Sepp, what is Sepp's deal? I don't know. I tried with Sepp.
He's random as hell, which is more reason to play him this week.
Couldn't get there. Dude, all right. The last pick that I'm going to give you in the 6K range, so it's not this pick, but the last pick I'm going to give you, boy, you're going to like it. My pick in the last 24 rounds, he's in the 6K range, okay? Last 24 rounds, 51st on strokes gained approach. Look at this. 11th in fairways gained and 38th in driving distance. You talk about a guy who is a incredibly good total driver of the golf ball. Last 100 rounds, so big sample size, par 4 scoring, 450 to 500. There's a lot of those on this golf course. He is 6th in the field. Strokes gained ball striking on difficult courses, 28th in this field. So he sucks around the green. He can't putt. Hayden Buckley at 6,600, I think, has some really nice upside here. I think he's kind of the poor. We didn't talk about this guy. I think Hayden Buckley could be the poor man's Taylor Moore this week. I think we both like Taylor Moore a little bit in the 7K range, but I like Buckley. I think Buckley has some upside. That driver's a weapon for him.
Yeah. All right. Well, DB, I'm going to go with a live guy here in HV3. I like Harold Varner this week. Last week in Tulsa, had a great final round on Sunday. Did finish T29th at the Masters. So I'm going to go a little HV3 here.
I think that was his best Masters finish. He's definitely been trending. He's gone from, literally, this is his live season starting with the first event, 28th at Mayakoba, then 27th, 19th, 17th, 9th, and 4th. So 9th in South Korea just a couple weeks ago, 4th last week in Oklahoma. And yeah, like you mentioned, the Masters there too, right before Australia, I think. So HV's been playing a little bit better. Hopefully, I love HV, so hopefully he plays well. How do we not go Eric Cole, who's been added to the field, I believe? I don't think he's on. He may not even be in. Yeah, I don't think he's in Fantasy National, but I saw he got added.
I was going to say, does he count?
He got added at 6,800. So I think that is a hell of a deal for Eric Cole. As good as he's been playing, I'm going to try to make sure he's in the field, but let's see. Then of course there's no good. Yeah, it looks like he's in the field. DraftKings added him. I could be wrong, but DraftKings added him today because I was scrolling through and I saw his name. I was like, Eric Cole, 6,800? Yeah, I think I'll do that. That guy's played some hard courses very well this year.
Okay. All right. Well, then I got to go with a guy that has played fantastic almost all season long, especially lately. He will certainly check a ton of boxes, has a ton of experience in majors. 6,900 Matt Kuchar. And I know that's not going to excite you really. You feel like there's not a ton of upside, but there's make cut upside. And that's what we're looking for here in the 6K range. So I like Kuchar.
I can confirm Eric Cole is in. Eric Cole got in. Rob Bolton tweeted about it 9 hours ago. He's in. I like Eric Cole a lot. All right. So you said Kuchar. Kuchar's long irons suck. And that scares me a little bit.
Yeah. And did you see that bug?
No.
Out of here. Maybe that's Cooch saying, don't take me.
All right, my last pick in the 6K range, dude. I'm telling you. Now, listen, there's some really good players in the 6K. We could go, we're kind of being irresponsible here. Because, Hoagie is obviously a lock in the 6K.
I don't know if that's a lock.
He checks so many boxes in the 6K. Hoagie is a lock. There's some good players in the 6K range. I am going to give you a probably 1 to 2% 6K play. Right? I'd be shocked if he gets to 2% here. Okay. However, when you think you have it, why don't you shout out the guess, Pat? Okay. First hint, he is a full-time DP World Tour player. Second hint, he's played in many majors. Third hint, he's 84th in the official World Golf Ranking. He's played in 7 events in 2023. 7. All on the DP World Tour. Here are his finishes in those 7. I will start with the first event that he played in 2023. 20th, 16th, 4th, a win, 6th, 40th, and 3rd just last week, just yesterday at the Sadao Open. Again, 20.
What was the first thing? He's played a lot of majors. Is that what you said?
The first thing I said was he's a full-time DP World Tour player. Second thing I said is he has actually played in a handful of majors, more than you would suspect for someone who's 6K full-time DP World Tour.
Jordan Smith.
No, but I do like Jordan Smith. 7 events in 2023, 20th, 16th, 4th, win, 6th, 40th, 3rd last week. I'm talking about the man who ain't afraid to whip his wiener out on an air.
Olesen. I knew it. I was about to say Thorbjorn.
Dude, Thorbjorn is striping it right now. I looked at his DP World statistics. He is number 1 on the DP World Tour in strokes gained total this season. He's 18th in strokes gained off the tee. And I will say this, it's not distance that's getting him there. He's pretty much like a 298, 299 driver of the ball. So he's a little bit better than average, but he's stupid accurate. He's 24th in strokes gained putting, and he's 6th in strokes gained approach on the DP World Tour. Thorbjorn. Now, let's talk about his major championship experience. I mean, it's not tremendous, but right. No. He's played in, this will be his 8th PGA championship. He's only missed 1 cut in 8 PGA championships. His best finish was a 27th. He had a 30th. So, not tremendous. He's played in 4 US Opens, never made a cut. He's played in 3 Masters, finished 6th, 44th, 21st. Played in like 2, 4, 6, 8. Played in 8 Open championships with a 9th place finish, a 12th place a few years ago. Like, he's got plenty of major championship experience, and he is playing exceptionally well coming out of whatever he had to do after pulling it out on an airplane. Thorbjorn, baby.
Yeah, I don't mind him.
Piss bear. All right, that's the 6K range. Before we go, Pat, just thinking about a couple things like, let's say we, we're looking at the weather right here. We didn't talk about the weather very much. We're not going to. It looks like Thursday could be the easiest day to score, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be chilly. The high on Thursday is 61. Friday, it's going to get a little warmer. High is 68, but the wind is coming like 30 mile. We're looking at 30 mile an hour winds right now. High 30 mile an hour gusts right now on Friday. On Saturday, the cold air is staying. The high is 55. The morning tee times are going to go off at 40 degrees. Sunday, the high is 64. The wind's coming back. So it's kind of as of Monday night, it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde weather situation. So I want to talk about the grinders, right? Like, so let's say you want to make a lineup full of grinders. So correlated lineup here, starting up top. Here are the guys. I mean, I really only find, you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. I'd love your opinion here. In the 9K and above range, I think there's really 2 like real gritty grinders. I think it's Jordan Spieth, who has a wrist issue, who I trust to grind around, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's Spieth. I actually think it's Jon Rahm. I mean, you could say Cam Smith, although
I don't know. Why do you say Jon Rahm though?
I mean, dude, Jon Rahm he's so overpowering, but I think he's actually a good grinder. I think he plays well in the shit. I mean, just plays well.
If things aren't going well for Jon Rahm, that he's just going to be like,
this isn't Jon Rahm of 5 years ago, like
doing cartwheels around the course and dancing around like he's in fairyland.
No, but like Jordan Spieth's a grinder, he'll be bitching about everything. It'd be, I'm just saying, like, a guy who's going to like put his head down, get up and down, not get rattled. I don't think John will get rattled anymore. I don't know. Like, what do you think then? I'm just looking at guys in the 9K. I think Finau could get there. Like, Finau's kind of got that very level affect. He's got a really good short game. I mean, short game matters a lot to me.
I actually feel like Victor's a little bit of a grinder.
Hell no.
Yes, he is. He's got a smile on his face. It doesn't matter. Like, he could be.
What? You got to be able to get up and down, dude.
The devil could be raining down on the earth of golf and making every single shot he hits go left or right.
The devil could be raining down on the earth of golf.
Victor Hovland is still going to smile. Still going to be smiling, enjoying his day.
The devil could be raining down on the earth of golf. That's what you said. Is that what you said? Okay. I'm sorry, but to me, a grinder has to be able to get up and down. Has to. Like, Victor ain't that. That ain't Victor.
There's other parts to the golf game when things are bad. Like, you got to be able to hit good iron shots into the greens.
But yeah,
you got to be able to hit good drives with the earth and the heavens coming down upon you.
Okay, this is getting interesting. All right, name me the grinders in the 8K range. So if you're building a lineup,
Mm.
who are the grinders in the 8K range to you? I think there's a bunch of them or there's a handful of them in the 8K range.
All right. Well, here's a few. I think. I will start with Max Homa. I do think Max Homa is a grinder because I think he's
I get
just
down with that.
the type guy that loves golf in general and never seems to get like too up or too down. So
Yep,
I think he's one of them.
I,
I
I,
think Shane Lowry is a
I,
grinder.
I agree.
Absolutely. I
I've
love Shane Lowry.
got him written down.
And you asked me this, and you have things written
I
down.
know, I
I
know,
didn't even know about this until 2 seconds ago.
I know.
So I would say those two right off the bat.
I think Tommy Ladd, and I think in some ways I think Hatton is kind of a grinder. But I think Tommy Ladd. I had Tommy Ladd, Shane Lowry, Fitzy. Although lately he's not been great. I think there's a handful of them that you can make an argument with. Tommy Ladd, Lowry, Fitz, Hatton, Homa. There might be an argument for Sahith too being a grinder, just because of the greasy little short game. To me, that's the prerequisite. Like, if conditions start sucking, you have to be able to get your ball up and down to make par or save a bogey or whatever that is. Figure it out. Find a way. And a lot of times that ends up being with your short game. If everybody's not hitting greens in regulation, if everybody's dealing with the cold weather and soft conditions and wind, then it does become a scrambling sort of contest. Like that's what I see. So,
Okay.
all right, 7K range.
All
Who
right.
do you see?
Um,
Name one or two.
let me give you two here.
I would say Rose.
I can agree with you there on Rose, even though I'm not as big of
Wasn't
a fan.
wasn't Marion kind of a grind for him back in the day?
It was. I agree.
Definitely think Reed, P. Reed,
Yeah, Reed's a grinder.
my Vince Gill of the
I hate to
league.
say that, but Reed
He
is
is.
a grinder.
He'll embrace it. He will embrace that.
You remember when Billy Horschel wore his hat backwards and I
Yes.
made fun of him? Does
Yes.
that mean he's a grinder or he's not a grinder?
No, that means he was triggered by it.
Yeah,
He was
he's
mad
not
at the rain.
He
It's
was
literally
pissed off at
it's
the
literally mad at
actual
the
rain. Man, now I'm like looking at the people that I don't think are grinders. Like, I don't know if Siwoo's a grinder.
See, the thing about Siwoo is like he checks the around the green box because he's so good around the green, but I don't consider him a grinder because he just gets so pissed.
You know who I think could grind is Russell Henley. Russell Henley seems like low key. Nobody's talking about him at all. Always like seems to like love to play difficult, hard majors. I mean, from the very start of his career, like literally, he came onto the stage at a U.S. Open. I can't remember which one it was, and he was like leading or up there, and it's because it was just a difficult course, and nobody really knew who he was at the time. I think Russell Henley's a grinder.
I got two in the 6K I want to give you. And there's probably more, but I got two I want to stand out and look at. Dude, you know who I'm kind of looking at a little bit? Padraig Harrington at 6,700.
Oh goodness.
Did you know that Padraig Harrington leads the senior tour, the Champions Tour, in driving distance, averaging over 300 yards off the tee? He's like top 20 in greens and reg, top 20 in scrambling. Finished T4 at the 2021 PGA Championship. This year, finished 10th at Valero, 53rd at API, and 60th at Honda. He's $6,700. I think he's kind of a grinder if it's going to be gnarly.
Okay.
And then a guy that is dumb as a box of hair, so just may be able to get through the conditions without even thinking about it, but won the RSM Classic in probably the coldest golf weather I have ever been a part of in my life.
It was so
You
cold.
were there. It was the
Yes.
coldest, windiest, most biting cold I've ever been a part of. And Adam Svensson won the RSM, and he's $6,600.
And he is the smartest man alive, smartest person I've ever seen.
Yeah. So credit to him for that.
Yeah.
I guess the next kind of narrative lineup I was gonna look at, and we don't have to do this, we can go through it quickly, was just kind of if you wanna be contrarian and you wanna say like, "Hey, I think everybody's talking about distance, everybody's talking about length. What if I wanna go the accuracy, like, just deadly accurate kind of way. And I want to build a couple of correlated lineups built around your most accurate players in the top tier. You want to go through that quickly. Like, who up top do you think checks that box? I think you mentioned Sung Jae earlier.
Accurate, and so we're going driving accuracy and
Yeah, I mean, I think
just
primarily you're going driving accuracy because I
okay.
mean, a lot of the comparisons so far from Oak Hill, like what our caddy friend that I shared the screenshot with from the text conversation, like Justin Thomas today in the press conference, are saying Winged Foot, very similar to Winged Foot, where Bryson just bludgeoned he just hit driver everywhere, regardless of being in the rough, to have shorter irons in. So that is a popular thing right now. If that happens to not be the case, and what does truly matter is being in the fairway, and you want to build a handful of lineups around that idea that are all correlated. If that happens, who are some of those guys in the 9K range as we work down that you would put in that category? And Sung Jae was to me the number one guy in that range. And you said you didn't want to leave the show without talking about him. I think Sung Jae checks that box, and he checks all the other boxes too.
Yeah, no, I agree there. Well, how about this? Russell Henley, who I just said. Russell Henley is number
Yep,
one.
have Henley in there. Yep, in the
Um,
7K range.
and how about this? We haven't even talked about Abraham Answer.
Well, I don't like Abe Answer. That's why we haven't. I don't.
Okay, I'm just saying
Yeah. Okay.
if you want a guy that's very accurate.
Well, a couple of studs, I think that the accuracy that they have goes a little overlooked. Like Homa, who you mentioned earlier, is more accurate off the tee than a lot of people would imagine. Like he's a really good total driver. He's not as accurate as Sung Jae, but he does not spray it off the tee like a madman. Same thing with Cantlay up top.
Yeah.
I think those are a couple of like really high end names. Shane Lowry's another one, pretty accurate off the tee. Justin Rose, who we talked about. I had Henley written down. I had Grillo written down, who you talked about. I think in this lower 7K, Seabez, Siwoo, like those kind of guys all hit it, a little bit longer than average and straighter than most.
Grillo.
I said Grillo.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you aren't listening. I said Grillo, who you mentioned. Yes. Hoagie. Hoagie's like kind of in that Woodland Clark Fowler bucket where he's just mispriced. He should be more expensive than that.
Woodland's actually just a little more accurate than I would have thought relative to the field.
Yeah.
Um,
Dude, Hoagie's price is insane. Like I would take Hoagie over Hadwin, Herbert, Taylor, Phil, Seamus. Although I kind of like Seamus. I'd take him over Kirk. I'd take him over Amito's popping a lot, but I'd take him over Spawn, Kitty, Riley. I wouldn't take him over Woodland. I'd take him over Mitchell, Webb. I mean, like Hoagie is very mispriced to me at 6,900.
Yeah. I just I like Hoagie in general. I always have.
Yeah.
A little inconsistent lately, which is unusual for him.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I think we're done. Are we done?
I am.
I think we're done. That's the DFS show, PGA Championship 2023. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're listening, subscribe to the podcast. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Do this every single week. We got an elevated event next week. Check out the YouTube channel this week. We're dropping some sleepers video. Going to have an interview for you up later in the week. Doing a giveaway on Instagram later on at Tour_Junkies. So check out the giveaway there. We got a ton of free content up on tourjunkies.com. The blog page is there. We would love to see you in the Discord. Get in the Nut Hut. Get involved. It is a great time, great community. Tons of people winning a bunch of money in the props market, head-to-head market, finish positions, DraftKings, all the markets. We're having success in the Discord. You don't want to miss it. Dude, damn, Joe Idoni with his exclusive head-to-head and finish position bets. Up 15 units on the season doing the Lord's work there in the Nut Hut. So get in there and get involved. All right. Appreciate it. May your screens be green. Okay. You can't play them all. Okay.
No, you can't.
You can't play them all. Plant your flag, live with your decisions, think about leverage, and have a great week. See ya!